Mark Kelso is standing by. It does seem that as Bills fans, we're excited. It could be, down by 3 touchdowns. We get excited when Josh Allen does something impressive, or at the very least, decent. Mark Kelso, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah. Well, I think there's the fans in Buffalo are educated. They know it's going to be a growth process this year, and they have high expectations, but certainly understand the limitations because he's a rookie quarterback, and there's a lot of moving parts right now, and they certainly haven't played, hopefully not to the level of capability, because they haven't played very well the first 2 weeks, and there's been a couple glimmers, but they haven't been real bright. But there was some growth yesterday for sure. Yeah. Certainly for Josh Allen, he did some things well, and he did some other things that were typical of a young quarterback that's a little bit hesitant to throw it into coverage.
I wanted to, the obvious story today is the big one that everybody's talking about, and that is Vontae Davis retiring at halftime. Surprise! What happened? Have you heard any more of the backstory there, Mark?
Yeah, no, I have not, and I'm not in the locker room post game, so I don't know all the discussions that were had at that situation regarding that situation. But I suspect there's more to it than what's on the surface, because you would think that it'd be quite a weighted decision to do that in the middle of the game. And I know that he holds himself to a really high standard, and he's been a terrific player in this league. And I know last year he dealt with some injuries in Indianapolis before he came over to the Bills in the offseason. Hasn't been here, quite frankly, that long, and didn't play a lot in the preseason, but was still nursing that injury that he dealt with last year. Had a terrific career when he was down in Miami, and I had a lot of respect for him as a player. Have never met the young man, and read a little bit of what he posted on social media, which seemed, that post seemed to be something that was genuine and authentic, but certainly on the heels of what he did and walking out on your teammates. I mean, you really feel like you want everybody to be all in and bought into what you're trying to do, and you want to know that your teammate has your back. And when something like that happens, it really it hurts your confidence. First of all, that you think everybody's bought in, because apparently everybody was not bought in. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see what other backstory is involved with that situation. Yeah. I suspect there's more to it than what's on the surface.
Right now, his statement says after 10 seasons of playing through injuries and surgeries, that he's all done. So
and he talked about being able to walk away healthy instead of what I think he referred to as the warrior mentality. And
that decision could have been made over the summer.
I know. I wanted to ask you, and I know you already kind of answered this, but I was going to ask if you think this is the feeling of maybe among some veterans to get blown out week one and then to have the first half unfold the way it was, to have a veteran guy go, you know what, I really don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. Do you think he's alone there? Would it surprise you if he wasn't alone? As far as veteran guys who are saying, what am I doing here?
He's alone.
Yeah,
he's alone. There's no way that mentality persists throughout the locker room. I mean, those guys are in there, and there's a lot of effort and energy that goes into training camp, and then you pare that roster down. And nowadays, it seemed like when I was playing, anytime you had a veteran player, typically that was not going to be part of the club the following year. I mean, that decision was usually made later in the off season as opposed to during training camp. But now they take all those guys to training camp, and they're always bringing guys in and trying to improve the roster because of the free agent situation that exists in the NFL now. And so it takes a while to get your team together, and it takes a couple weeks, quite frankly, into the regular season. And the Bills aren't quite there yet. But there's absolutely no way that mentality persists. I just don't know what caused the significant frustration that he must have felt to enable him to make that decision. I think it's a decision he'll regret down the road. And I'm sure he has a group of guys, either teammates and or former coaches or players or friends that around them, and he talked a lot about God in his statement that he made. I'm sure he has some friends of faith that if he would have called them and got a couple of his key advisors together and said, "Hey, I think I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. I'm worried. I can't play to the level I'm capable. I'm going to walk out at halftime." I think they would have said, "Hey, why don't you just wait to the end of the game? We'll reassess the situation and we'll go from there." So
at the very least,
it was just a knee-jerk reaction to frustration of the first couple of weeks and frustration of the guy, again, who really, over the course of his career, played at a really high level and wasn't able to perform at that level the time he was here in Buffalo.
I'll let you leave with, if you would, with just what are some of the positives you saw. I mean, that's really what, as Buffalo Bills fans in a game like yesterday, that's what we're looking for. And Josh Allen, everybody's, all attention on Allen. What did you see that were positives?
Well, yeah, I always like to start on the defensive side of the football. So the positive things that I saw there is when they got themselves in a situation where Trent Murphy is healthy and he's able to rush along with Jerry Hughes, and then they had a combination where they kicked Murphy inside and they brought Lorenzo Alexander down on the line of scrimmage. That became a really profitable pass rush and caused some disruption for Phillip Rivers. Now, that was a little later in the first half and into the second half. So, again, I think the Chargers probably took their foot off the throttle a little bit, even if they didn't do it consciously. I mean, when you're up by that much and it seems like you have things in control, you don't play with the same focus that you might play with otherwise. But I thought that was a really nice configuration. They're going to have to figure out. I mean, the difficulty there at defensive back now is they really got to figure out what they're going to do. And Teron Johnson not being available yesterday, I mean, he really left them short at cornerback, and particularly when Vontae Davis was not available in the second half. So a couple positives, a couple negative things there. Yeah. It doesn't seem like they're able to play as much man as they'd like to be able to play. When you don't have a pass rush, I mean, you can't do it because somebody's going to come open. Eventually, they drop 8 a bunch, and when you do that, and you can't get to the quarterback. Phillip Rivers, a guy like that's going to pick you apart because he has a lot of time. So on that end, on the offensive side, again, I don't want to coach speak here, but it is a growth process. It's an offensive line that's never played together. They had a few, I would think, profitable plays yesterday. They did some good job in protection. I think Josh Allen had some guys open. I think he made some good throws, and there was some growth by him. But I think there were a lot of times that he was hesitant. I'm not a big fan of the quarterback sweep that they ran. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about your franchise quarterback here, and obviously he's a guy. When I evaluate quarterbacks, one of the evaluation pieces is, can he beat you with his legs? Well, Phillip Rivers, can he extend it down? Yeah. Is he going to beat you with his legs? Probably not, because he's rarely going to run. Yeah. Yesterday he actually had a first down, but he wants to move with the idea of extending the down and throwing the ball down the field, and Josh Allen doesn't quite have that mentality yet. I think he needs to. I mean, when Ingram was draped all over him, it's an ill-advised throw because you're not going to get much on it. And at that point, I mean, you just got to get out of bounds, throw that ball away, or try to give your receiver an opportunity to catch it if nobody else can catch it. So there were some positive things there. I thought Charles Clay had a couple of really nice plays in the passing game. I thought blocked really well a couple of times. They had the big run by Ivory, and I think even on the LaShawn McCoy run, that he was involved in that, and the catch by DeMarco. I mean, if he could become a little weapon in a passing game when he gets out into the flats, I mean, that was an outstanding catch that he made on a pretty high velocity ball from Josh Allen. So I mean, there are some positives you can take away. The game was more competitive than the previous week, although the competition level kind of increased in the second half again. When I think that the Chargers took their foot off the throttle a little bit, but it was not a regression. Certainly, it was some growth, and oh, by the way, you got to go into probably two of the meanest places to play in the NFL, and teams that are really, really good and will be competing for an NFC championship. So let's see what happens going forward.
This is not an easy schedule. There's no doubt about that. So,
it continues to get more difficult.
Yep. Mark Kelso, Buffalo Bills, as always. We appreciate it. We'll talk again next week. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Have a good week.